Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अपत्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 1, Genealogical Table of Daughters of Manu. So, we are in the middle section of this chapter, where we are discussing genealogical line of Devahūti. So, we are at text 22. अप्सरो मुनिगंधर्व सिद्ध विद्याधरोरगै वितायमान यशसः तदाश्रमं पदं ययुः. Translation.
At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus, they entered the ashram of this great sage who had become famous by his austerities. Purport. It is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He is known as the Supersoul, and when one worships the Supersoul, all other deities, such as Brahmā and Śiva, appear with the Lord Viṣṇu because they are directed by the Supersoul.
So at that time, because he was praying to Jagadishvaraha, and at that time, all the three prominent deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, who had become very famous by the dint of his austerities, and they were accompanied by Apsara, Uraga, Gandharva, Siddha, Vidyadhara, Naga, Charana. So just like the king arrives, we have the entourage of the king. Similarly, appearance of the Lord, there are all these great personalities. They were with the Lord. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that when we take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam, right? Then everyone is satisfied. Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita hai, right? So when one, or Yatha Taror Mula Nishechanena, Trupyanti Tat Skanda. So there are many examples that whenever one satisfies the Supreme Lord, all other parts and parcels will be satisfied, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So Prabhupada writes here, when one worships Super Soul, all other deities like Brahma and Shiva, they also appear and they are also satisfied along with the Super Soul. Text 23. Tat pradurбhava sanyoga vidyotit manamuni उत्तिष्ठन् एकपादेन ददर्श विभुव वृषभान्. Translation.
Translation: The sage was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw that the three deities had appeared before him, he was so pleased to see them all together that despite great difficulty, he approached them on one leg. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So He was ekapad, he was doing tapasya standing on one leg. But as soon as he saw these three deities in front of him, he was extremely pleased. And he approached them on he was not knowing what to do now. And suddenly he saw these great devatas and the Supreme Lord. He was very excited. What did he do? Text 24. Pranamya dandavata bhūmau upatasthe arhananjari vrushahamsa suparnasthana svai svai chinnai cha chinnitan. Translation.
Thereafter, he began to offer prayers to the three deities who were seated on the different carriers, a bull, a swan, and Garuda, and who held in their hands a drum, kusha grass, and a discus. The sage offered them his respects by falling down like a stick. Purport. Danda means a long rod, and Vat means like. Before a superior, one has to fall down on the ground just like a stick, and this sort of offering of respect is called Dandavat. Atri Ruci offered his respect to the three deities in that way. They were identified by their different carriers and different symbolic representations. In that connection, it is stated here that Lord Viṣṇu was sitting on Garuda, a big aquiline bird, and was carrying in his hand a disc. Brahmā was sitting on a swan and had in his hand a kusha grass. And Lord Śiva was sitting on a bull and carrying in his hand a small drum called Damru. Atri Rishi recognized them by their symbolic representations and different carriers, and thus he offered them prayers and respects.
So the three deities, they appeared on their own vehicles, on their own vahana, and they had their three, they were holding the three different things in their hands. And thus, Atri Rishi, he dandavat, he began to offer prayers to these three deities who were on the different carriers, bull, swan, and Garuda. And thus, he offered his. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, dandavat means falling literally like a rod. So, yes, dandavat. Just like, you have a stick standing on the ground and let loose, how the stick will fall. So similarly, that is called as dandavat, means complete prostrated obeisances, sashtanga namaskar. So especially one sees one spiritual master, one sees sannyasis or very, very advanced personalities. One is supposed to offer dandavat pranam. Especially Vaishnava etiquette is, whenever we see sannyasi, Tridandi sannyasi especially, one should immediately offer, dandavat pranam. If we are seeing them in a place where we cannot offer dandavat or something like that, at least in the mind, we should offer them complete dandavat pranam. So this is the important etiquette. Atri Rishi, he saw three personalities. He saw Lord Viṣṇu sitting on Garuda. He had the disc in his hand. Lord Brahmā sitting on a swan carrier, had a kusha grass in his hand. And Lord Śiva, he was sitting on a bull and having damaru in his hand. And this is how he recognized them by the different carriers and the different, the symbolic representations they were carrying in their hands. And thus he began to offer prayers and respects to each three of them. Text 25. Krupāvalokena hasata vadanena upalambitan tat rochita pratihate nimilya munirikshani. Translation.
Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Purport. Since the deities were smiling, he could understand that they were pleased with him. Their glaring bodily effulgence was intolerable to his eyes, so he closed them for the time being.
So beautiful words. Krupāvalokena hasata. So the deities were smiling, but they had, and then Atri Muni was very greatly pleased to see them like this, but his eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and he just temporarily closed his eyes for the time being. He could not take that, prakash which is coming from these three prominent deities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, since the deities were smiling, Atri Muni realized that they are very happy with him, but their glaring bodily effulgence was intolerable to the eyes, and thus he closed his eyes for the time being. Just imagine Surya Dev comes. Now we cannot see the sun disk also. Personality is sun god. It's very difficult to behold. So this is what something similar happened to Atri Muni. But he knew that the deities are happy. Krupavalokena hasata. Text 26-27. Chetastat pranayam yunjan astavita sanhatanjali Lakṣmaya suktaya vacha sarvaloka gariyasaha Atriruvacha Vishvodhavastitilayeshu vibhajyamanai Maya gunair anuyugam vigruhita deha Te Brahma Viṣṇu Girisha pranatosmyaham vais Tebhyaka eva bhavatam me iha upahutaha. Translation?
Translation. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or other he gathered his senses, and with folded hands and sweet words, he began to offer prayers to the predominating deities of the universe. The great sage Atri said, O Lord Brahma, Lord Viṣṇu, and Lord Śiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, as you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayer. Purport. Atri Rishi called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe. The Lord must exist before the creation, otherwise, how could he be its Lord? If someone constructs a big building, this indicates that he must have existed before the building was constructed. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, the creator of the universe, must be transcendental to the material modes of nature. But it is known that Viṣṇu takes charge of the mode of goodness, Brahma takes charge of the mode of passion, and Lord Śiva takes charge of the mode of ignorance. Therefore, Atri Muni said that Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe, must be one of you, but since three of you have appeared, I cannot recognize whom I have called. You are all so kind. Please let me know who is actually Jagadishvara, the Lord of the universe. In fact, Atri Rishi was doubtful about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord Viṣṇu, but he was quite certain that the Lord of the universe cannot be one of the creatures created by Maya. His very inquiry about whom he had called indicates that he was in doubt about the constitutional position of the Lord. Therefore, he prayed to all three, kindly let me know who is the transcendental Lord of the universe. He was certain, of course, that not all of them could be the Lord, but that the Lord of the universe was one of the three. Hare Krishna.
So Atri Muni, since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow he gathered his senses, folded hands, and began to inquire, to whom I have called, who is the Lord of the universe, who is Jagadishvara. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Atri Muni called for Jagadishvara. And Jagadishvara means the Jagadishvara must exist before the Jagat. And when Jagadishvara exists before the Jagat, that means he is beyond the Jagat. Right? And that's where Narayano Paro Vyaktat. So Prabhupada says, just like somebody is building a big building or a bungalow, the person must exist before the bungalow, person must plan for the bungalow before the bungalow, and then the bungalow will come in picture. So the Supreme Lord is not the creation of the material modes or the material creation, because when the Supreme Lord existed and when he desired, then there is material creation. Now suddenly Atri was very surprised to see three of them, and he was certain that one of them will be supreme, but he was confused. Who is Jagadishvara? And therefore, he made his inquiry with his folded hands, and with sweet words he began to ask, you all have come here, but please tell me who is Jagadishvara? I have called for Jagadishvara. So this was the inquiry of Atri Muni. Text 28. Eko maheya bhagavan vivida pradhanair Chittikrita prajanaya katham nu yuyam Atragata tanuvritam manasopi durat Bhuta prasidata mahaniha vismayo me. Translation.
I called for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, desiring a son like him, and I thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of a man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this purport. Atri Muni was confidently aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Lord of the universe. So he prayed for the Supreme Lord. He was surprised, therefore, that three of them appeared. Thank you.
So Adri, he said, I have called for the Supreme Lord, wanting a son like him, and now suddenly you three are here. Now I am bewildered. Please tell me, who is the Supreme and how all you three have appeared here? So it was a very, very sweet exchange. Everybody smiling there. Krupavalokena hasata. Text 29. Maitreya uvacha iti tasya vacha shrutva trayasте vibhudat vrishabha pratyahus lakshanaya vacha prahasya tamrishim prabho. Translation.
The great sage Maitreya continued. Upon hearing Atri Muni speak in that way, the three great deities smiled, and they replied in the following sweet words.
The three great deities smiled and they replied in the following sweet words. See, look at this, how many times the sweet word is coming here. So sweet word is here. In the previous shloka, sweet word is, the Atri is praying in the sweet words. Krupavalokena hasata, the deities are smiling. So it's a smiling, sweet pastime, right? Deva urchuhu yatha kritaste sankalpo bhavyam tenaiva nanyatha satsankalpasya च te brahman yadvai dhyayati te vayam. Translation.
Translation. The three deities told Atri Muni, Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, and therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you were meditating, and therefore, we have all come to you. Purport. Atri Muni unspecifically thought of the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, although he had no clear idea of the Lord of the universe nor of his specific form. Mahavishnu, from whose breathing millions of universes emanate, and into whom they are again withdrawn, may be accepted as the Lord of the universe. Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from whose abdomen sprouted the lotus flower, which is the birthplace of Brahma, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Similarly, Shirodaksha Vishnu, who is the supersoul of all living entities, may also be considered the Lord of the universe. Then, under the order of Shirodaksha Vishnu, the Vishnu form within this universe, Lord Brahma and Lord Śiva, may also be accepted as the lords of the universe. Vishnu is the Lord of the universe because he is its maintainer. Similarly, Brahma creates the different planetary systems and the population, so he also may be considered the Lord of the universe. Or Lord Śiva, who is ultimately the destroyer of the universe, also may be considered its Lord. Therefore, since Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, all three, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Śiva, came before him. They said, since you were thinking of having a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, your determination will be fulfilled. In other words, one's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25, Yanti Devavrata Devana Pitra Yanti Pitra Vrataha. If one is attached to a particular demigod, one is promoted to the abode of that demigod. If one is attached to the Pita or forefathers, one is promoted to the planet. And similarly, if one is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, one is promoted to the abode of Lord Krishna. Atri Muni had no clear conception of the Lord of the universe. Therefore, the three presiding deities who are actually the lords of the universe in the three departments of the modes of nature all came before him. Now, according to the strength of his determination for a son, his desire would be fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay. The three deities, they began to speak Devahūti. They said, "Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination, so we have decided we will appear here. And we all are the same person to whom you prayed for. We all are Jagadishvara." In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Atri Muni was very unspecific in his prayer, and he offered a general prayer to Jagadishvara. Now, who is Jagadishvara? Now, this is the question is being discussed. So, Mahavishnu is Jagadishvara, because originally from his breathing, everything is coming Karana Arnava, right? And then Garbhodakshai Vishnu is Jagadishvara, Ksharodakshai Vishnu is Jagadishvara, and the Vishnu deity within the universe is Jagadishvara. Now, Lord Viṣṇu is the maintainer, he is Jagadishvara. Brahmā is the creator, he is Jagadishvara. Lord Śiva is the ultimate destroyer, he is Jagadishvara. So all these personalities that Deva said, that they all are Jagadishvara to one level or another. Right? So they all are Jagadishvara. Prabhupada writes here, one's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. Very, very amazing statement. One's determination is fulfilled according to the strength of one's devotion. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrun Yanti Pitruvrataha. So according to the strength of one's devotion, one will have a certain destination. And here, because Atri had very pure intention, although unspecific, and therefore all the three deities happily appeared, and they are smiling upon and ready to offer benedictions to Atri. Text 31. Ath asmat amsha bhutaste atmajaloka vishruta bhavitaranga bhadram te vistrapsyanti cha te yashah. Translation.
You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation of our potency. And because we desire all good fortune for you, those sons will glorify your reputation throughout the world.
Yeah. So the Lord said, you will have sons. Now he was looking for one son, but now he is going to get sons. Okay, plural it is. So you will have sons who will be the partial manifestation of our potency. Right. And those sons who glorify your reputation throughout the world. So this is the benediction that was being given to Atri Muni. Text 32. Evam kamavaram dattva pratijagmu sureshwarah sabhajitatayo samyak dampyatyo mishato tatah. Translation.
Thus, while the couple looked on, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, disappeared from that place after bestowing upon Atri Muni the benediction.
So Brahmaji, so all this was happening, and then what happened is all the three deities disappeared after offering benedictions to Atri Muni. So now certain things here, because there are sometimes some questions they come in the mind. So Dattātreya, so first thing is that this pastime of three demigod, three deities appearing in front of Anasūyā and Atri, nowadays it is told in a very, very different way. That these three devata wanted to check the chastity of Anasūyā, and they prayed, they appeared, and they said that you should serve us a meal in such a way, in some different way. And Anasūyā, with her potency, just converted into a small child, and in a quite dramatic and other ways is being this pastime is being narrated. But that is not the pastime. The pastime here is the real pastime is mentioned in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, pages of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Second is also there is idea that Dattātreya. Now there are various versions of this also, because there is a Datta Sampradaya, and which is a different Sampradaya altogether. There is a Natha Sampradaya, Datta Sampradaya. But here we are talking about Ekmukhi Datta, who is incarnation of Lord Viṣṇu. Sometimes people have the idea that Dattātreya has three heads, and one is representing Brahma, one is representing Lord Śiva, one is representing Lord Viṣṇu. But here it is Dattātreya, who is the partial manifestation of the potency of Lord Viṣṇu, and thus he is Viṣṇu Shakti Avesha Avatar. Okay, Lord Dattātreya here. So these are, two important things to understand. Especially in Maharashtra, there is this idea of, there is not a great clarity about. But here, Lord Dattātreya is being very clearly mentioned as, the partial manifestation of Lord Viṣṇu, being pleased by prayers and austerity of Atri Muni. So this is important thing to understand. Text 33. Somo bhuta brahmanam shena datta Viṣṇu tu yogavit Durvāsā Shankarasyamsho Nibodha Angirasa Prajah. Translation.
Thereafter, from the partial representation of Brahma, the moon god was born of them. From the partial representation of Viṣṇu, the great mystic Dattātreya was born, and from the partial representation of Shankara, Lord Śiva, Durvāsā was born. Now you may hear from me of the many sons of Angira.
So this is how the three personalities appeared. Moon god, Soma, was appeared as a partial representation of Brahma, and then partial representation of Viṣṇu, the great mystic Dattātreya was born, and from Shankara, Lord Śiva, Durvāsā Muni took birth. And now there is a description of the descendants of Angira Muni. Text 34. Shraddha tu Angiras Patni Chatastra Asutakanyaka Sinivali Kuhuraka Chaturthim Anumati Tatha. Translation.
Translation.
Angira's wife,
Go ahead.
Shraddha, Angira's wife Shraddha gave birth to 4 daughters named Sinivali, Kuhu, Raka, and Anumati.
Yeah. So these are Angira's wife Shraddha gave birth to these 4 daughters: Sinivali, Kuhu, Raka, and Anumati. Right. So sometimes, many times the parents, they are looking for a new name for the children. Thoda hatke naam dena hai. This is a good name, Sinivali. Not many people are having this name. Kuhu is also a good name. Raka, Anumati, and they are very, 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 very Vedic names. Okay. Text 35. Tataputrau aparau astam khyatau swarochisentare utatyo bhagavan sakshat brahmishtascha brihaspati. Translation.
Beside these 4 daughters, she also had another 2 sons. One of them was known as Utatya, and the others was the learned scholar Brihaspati.
So besides these 4 daughters, they had another 2 sons, Utatya and Utatya Bhagavan Sakshat. And then there is, the Bhagavan here is very mighty. If you see the word-to-word translation, very, very mighty, Brihaspati, the spiritually advanced personality, Brihaspati. Text 36. Pulatsyo ajanayat patnyam agastyam cha havirbhuvi Sonya janmani dayyagni vishrava cha mahatapah. Translation.
We got his wife, Havirbhu, one son of the name Agasya, who in his next birth became the Haragni. Besides him, Pulasya begot another very great and saintly son, whose name was Vishrava.
This is Pulatsya, begot in his wife Havirbhu. Okay, nice, good names. Havirbhu, one son of the name Agastya, who in his next birth became Dhagrani. And besides him, Pulasya begot another very great and saintly son, whose name was Vishrava. Text 37. Now we'll come to Vishrava, and now we will come to some known names here. Tasya Yakshapater Deva Kuvera tu Idavida Sutah Ravana Kumbhakarnascha Tatha Anyasyam Vibhishanah. Translation.
Vishrava had two wives. The first wife was Idavida, from whom Kuvera, the master of all yakshas, was born. And the next wife was named Kesini, from whom three sons were born, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Bibhishana.
Yeah. So this Vishrava, now we know Pulatsya from Pulatsya. Now Vishrava had two wives, Idvida and Keshini. From Idvida, Kubera was born, and from Keshini, three children were born, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan. And we know that Ravana, he stole Kuvera's Pushpak Viman and everything. So this is the parental line. They are coming from Devahūti's line. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Yeah, I
Prabhupada.
had a
Thank you,
question.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
This Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Bibhishana, should they are in Treta Yuga, and this pastimes of Devahūti and everything, it is going in Satya Yuga. So how this is connected?
The genealogical is, it's going on across the generations, across the yugas. In fact, now also when we say what is our gotra, so somebody's gotra is Ambarish, somebody's gotra is Vasishtha. This is the genealogical line, Vamsha, which is coming from the Vasishtha Muni or Ambarish Raja, and those are the gotra.
Mm-hmm.
So the gotra Vamsha Vistar will happen across the ages. That is not a problem. Right?
Okay. Okay. Got it. And Prabhuji, I had one more question. That
Yes.
why Brahmaji, Shivji, and Vishnu appeared, and even though Atri Muni had studied so many Vedas and everything, so is it that even though through that scriptures, it was not properly given that who is the supreme personality of Godhead?
Yeah, it is not known. That's what it is. It is not very easy to know. When Lord Krishna says this is the Guhya Gyan, Guhya Tara Gyan, Guhya Tama Gyan, this is extremely secret knowledge. By mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, by mercy of Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, what we come to know, all the Rasagyan, this, it is very, very Guhya Gyan. People, I mean, even in the Satya Yuga, this knowledge was not available very easily, right? The name Radha was not available very easily even in the Satya Yuga. Very few people were knowing the pastimes of Lord Krishna with Radharani. So this is extremely confidential knowledge. It comes to us very, that's how this is the purely mercy of Srila, mercy of Gaur Nitai and Srila Prabhupada, that this very confidential knowledge is known to, practically anybody like all of us. But it is a very confidential knowledge. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhaktam. And therefore, Lord is called as Vedeshu, very durlabh. To attain the Lord and his pastimes through Vedas is very, very difficult. So, although Atri was vastly learned scholar, he was, he could not ascertain who is Jagadishwara. And he just prayed, I will pray to Jagadishwara. Whoever he is, he will come. Right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, just I have small two questions related to
Yes.
the same pastime. Like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they know that Krishna is the supreme personality of God, like Vishnu. So why did they come when along with Vishnu? Like I know Atri had prayed, whoever is Jagadishwara, but they could have stopped themselves because when Vishnu is coming, they could have, they could have waited. Or they
No,
wanted to,
because
because Atri is not clear, so they want to really show that mercy that Krishna is the God.
no, Atri was not clear and he called for Jagadishwara, and Lord Brahma is Jagadishwara. Right? And he is duty bound. When he is called, he will appear.
Okay.
And when Atri called Jagadishvara, Lord Shiva is Jagadishvara because he is the destroyer. He also appeared. And when he called Jagadishvara, Lord Viṣṇu is Jagadishvara, he also appeared. So all the three devatas appeared and they were smiling at each other because all three of them are Jagadishvara. So, so one has to take that responsibility, right? Brahmaji, when somebody is saying Jagadishvara, please appear in the Bhautik Jagat, then, say for example, you are in a company and some worker says, oh, president, I'm calling for a president. And the president is sitting in the office. He should not say, oh, he's calling for president of India. Right?
Yes.
So he is the immediate president, your immediate president. You go down and ask, solve his query. If you go down, then he says, no, I was calling for president of India. You tell him, okay, and you are calling for president of India. I thought you are calling me. I am also president of this company. I came down. So this is how exactly this happened. Jagadishvara means, and the deities are very, very responsive and duty bound from the sense of responsibility. So they just appeared. Just imagine somebody is standing on one leg and, for doing hundreds of years of tapasya, and entire Dayyamana, the universe is being scorched by the fire of his pranayam. And then he's calling Jagadishvara. So previously it was called like that. It was Hiranyakashipu calling Brahmaji. So Jagadishvara, Lord Brahma is also Jagadishvara. So he came. Lord Shiva came. Lord Viṣṇu came. And this is how all of them appeared. Right?
Yeah.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. I have a
Yes.
small question. So if Brahma is said to be Jeev Tattva, then how does he becomes Jagadishvara?
No, Brahma is Jiva Tattva, but he is Jagadishvara. Ultimately, entire universe is called as Brahmanda. He is controlled by Lord Brahma. Right?
But why is he Jeev Tattva then?
No, he is Jiva Tattva because, why? No, it is not. Every Brahma is Jiva Tattva. And Jiva Tattva can also become Jagadishvara in a limited capacity.
Okay.
So he is in the limited capacity, the controller of the universe. He is but not the ultimate controller of the universe. And here the prayer was just to Jagadishvara, and he just appeared.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Devahūti.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, everyone.
Can
Hare
Prabhu-
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.